Weather making a comeback as we head into the end of the week. We talk about how much rain we could potentially see and head to the tropics where it's officially the beginning of the Atlantic hurricane season.
And we're going to take you around the country to places that saw impactful weather over the weekend and how they're beginning the restoration process.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And we're so glad you're with us here for Weather Extra. What about it, Matt? Finally a weekend, not a drop of rain.
It was so nice, Wes. I mean, not having any stress forecasting it,
Right.
tracking anything. I mean, the only thing that was negative about the weekend was the haze in the sky.
Yeah,
So-
it was very interesting. A lot of folks were asking me, what's up with the sun tonight? Because it was almost like it was just blood red. And that's the thing, tonight it'll have that color again.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of you have asked about what's going on in the tropics because there's a lot of posts around, social media it's changed the game because you see all these posts about possible tropical system, but we've had a couple of outlier models that
That's
are
right.
showing maybe something out there, but we're certainly keeping a watch on it.
Yeah, obviously, if we think there's a threat that something's going to form, we'll be the first to let you know right here. So.
Yeah, and we're about to break all that down for you because right now we're going to give you the weather extras, what it's all about. And let's talk about, first off, next big thing for us, we're going to have those hotter afternoons. And Matt and I were actually talking earlier about that haze in the sky. The models have been saying it's going to be a little bit hotter than what the actual ground observations have been. So it looks like that haze is having a slight impact, keeping us a few degrees lower on those temperatures. Afternoon storms, though, coming back as early as Wednesday. So we got to watch that, and we are monitoring the tropics. We do have a system out there we're keeping a watch on, and we're going to be telling you all about that here coming up. So let's get into it here. And first up, I want to bring in our current conditions, and you can see the view from Vernon, and almost, again, you can see how the sun's got that glow to it this evening with that smoke that's been transported. It's mostly in the upper reaches of the atmosphere, so it really hasn't had a huge impact on ground level air quality, but that's going to be around again tomorrow, so still kind of hazy. And later this week, we've actually been tracking some dust across the Atlantic, the Saharan dust layer, and there's a chance that that could actually add to enhance those sunsets and sunrises later on this week. AccuTrack, though, all dry at the moment, but the temperatures are in the mid-80s right now. I mean, it feels warm out there, but we certainly know June 2nd, it can feel a lot hotter. So we'll take this as far as temperatures go. This evening, if you have plans, though, it is going to feel nice out there. Notice by 9, 10 o'clock, we're in the 70s, and that sky, again, will be clearing out tonight with a light easterly wind. All right, let's talk about rain coverage over the next 6 days. And you can see rain chances will come back all around the region. It looks like the risk for severe weather is going to ramp up west of the Mississippi River tomorrow. We'll be talking about more storms down into South Florida from a wave, and that's the system that may try to become better organized over the tropics. We'll keep an eye on, but notice as early as Wednesday, scattered storms coming back. Thursday and Friday, you can see a chance for scattered development, and then this weekend especially, unfortunately, it looks like a good coverage. It's mostly afternoon, but scattered afternoon storms will be likely. So giving you that first alert for this weekend. But notice to the south along the coast, you see a lot of green on the map. That's because those rain chances down along the Alabama Gulf Coast going way up there Wednesday into Thursday. You can see that 60 to 70% chance for wet weather. So we're going to be closely monitoring what's going on there along the Gulf Coast. The Gulf, the Caribbean, very favorable areas for development this time of the year when it comes to tropical activity. And Matt, you and I have been talking about some models that are trying to show something next week, but we see that a lot this time of the year. I mean, it's hurricane season, right? Sooner or later, we're going to see something.
Right,
Yeah.
and one of our models we look at is the GFS, the Global Forecast System. And this model in the long range, especially 2 to 3 weeks out, every year it seems it loves to spit out a storm, right?
Yeah, you and I were looking at some numbers. Was it like 2 or 3? It wanted to predict 200 or 300 hurricanes last year. So you know that was way out of the ballpark.
And that's where you
Yeah.
need our expertise to sort of depict whether it's a real threat or not.
Exactly.
So that's what we're going to be tracking. Just to give you an idea, of course, the hurricane season has officially began. It peaks in August and September, and it comes to an end by November 30th. So we've got a long ways to go. And typically in the month of June, we look for development close to home. So it's usually in parts of the northern Caribbean into the Gulf, and that's where we typically see systems develop. So if we see stuff develop in the western Gulf, it usually travels to the north north, maybe impacting Texas. And then if anything develops in the eastern Gulf, sometimes those systems like to impact Florida and move along the Georgia coast and into the Carolinas. With that said, we do have a disturbance there in Florida. Usually we watch for stalled boundaries where areas of low pressure can form, and sometimes you can get a low to develop, and it could be a weak tropical depression or storm. So the National Hurricane Center highlighting a 10% chance of development off the Georgia and Carolina coast. And some of this moisture with a little bit of easterly flow, that's what could maybe influence giving us a few isolated showers going into our Wednesday. So looking at our future model, you can see this disturbance producing lots of rain across the Florida Peninsula and in Georgia. Maybe some of that easterly flow giving us a few showers in parts of Alabama as well Wednesday. And it looks like it's just going to be kind of unsettled. Some of the models are showing maybe a weak low forming off the Georgia coast. Obviously, if it gets a little bit better organized, perhaps the Hurricane Center might produce a tropical depression or alert us on that. But it looks like we'll have a cold front to our north and west, and this is going to help move this system off the east coast. And looking ahead, as we were mentioning, the GFS model still showing something trying to form in the middle part of June, in the second or third weeks of June. And the European model, though, on this part on the left, not showing anything. So confidence of something developing down the road pretty low as we go into the second and third weeks of June, but we'll keep you updated on that. And just go ahead and scan the code on your screen to download the First Alert weather app. And as we learn more about the development of the system, we'll keep you up to date with the forecast for your exact location. And as we continue to talk about the haze impacting our state from those Canadian wildfires, check out these images shared on the First Alert weather app of the effects the smoke brought to the sun. Andrew Torbert, Highway 216 in Tuscaloosa. You can see that red glow that Wes was just mentioning. Jacqueline Edge also showing that sun in Lincoln. And then in this final picture, Michael Jean with the sunset in northern portions of Jefferson County. So pretty cool to see with that smoke. And as we bring you the weather extra now as we head to Canada, as just over half the fires remain uncontrolled, Jen Sullivan is tracking the conditions and has details on the poor air quality impacting thousands.
Nearly 200 wildfires are raging across central and western Canada, forcing thousands of people to evacuate.
The smoke was getting pretty heavy and we had to drive out.
On Friday, Canadian officials declared an extreme risk for wildfires for the Northwest Territories and Alberta to Ontario. That's the highest level on the country's fire risk scale.
Are we still going to have a place to stay when we go back in there?
The heavy smoke filling the skies, and now that haze pushing south, impacting air quality in major cities in the U.S.
States like Minnesota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, thanks to this cold front, it's pulling a lot of that smoke down into a lot of these areas and is likely going to stay there for the next several days.
The thick smog taking over Minneapolis, worrying residents who were enjoying the outdoors.
We probably won't run for a while.
This same situation happened 2 summers ago. This EarthCam time-lapse video from June of 2023 shows the New York City skyline disappearing in heavy smoke due to wildfires in Canada. The air quality then was considered hazardous.
It's this higher concentration that you're breathing kind of overwhelms your body and can lead to kind of the health issues that we expect from air pollution.
A recent health study out of New York's Mount Sinai Hospital found, quote, matter from wildfire smoke can have health effects up to 3 months afterwards, well beyond the couple of days that previous studies have identified. That's why health officials are telling people to check air quality levels and stay indoors if it's not safe. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
And just taking a look at our camera here in Birmingham, it should be a blue sky. It kind of just looks cloudy. And once again, that smoke still lingering in the upper levels across parts of our area. So what does that mean for our air quality? Well, it's elevated and not at the surface. So obviously, if we were seeing health concerns, you'd probably have heard of a code orange or a code red air quality alert. And it's just a yellow, very moderate. So thankfully, shouldn't cause too many issues regarding the air that we're breathing in. And you can see in some spots, especially in Georgia, a little bit more of a concern. But look at that smoke forecast for tomorrow. It looks like it's still going to linger across the area as we go into tomorrow afternoon. By Wednesday, instead of those northerly winds, we're going to see some easterly flow. So we're going to have different flow, and that should help dissipate some of the smoke in the upper levels. So we should see some improvement. But On top of that, we've got dust from Africa that could be making its way from the south. So we're sort of just sandwiched between smoke and dust. So very interesting setup, which is not uncommon for this time of the year. There's more Weather Extra coming up right after this break.
And welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Let's take a look at the radar here. I want to show you we've got some big storms happening across the mid part of the country. This is where an enhanced risk of severe weather is happening right now. Look at all the lightning in here. I want to show the count. Let's just take a look at this. 4,500. Well, let me turn the map there because we were counting the lightning that was happening in northern U.S., but over 4,000 lightning strikes out here. Some big hail producers, some severe storms happening. All of this for right now is going to stay to the west of us. The pattern has shifted around. We're actually going to have more of an easterly flow that's going to come in over the next few days. So by Wednesday, we're going to be watching for a chance of some showers to move in from the east. And as Matt was talking about some of that haze that all moved in from the north, well, it's going to drift back from the east direction now as we go into the next couple days here. But we'll see by Wednesday a few isolated showers and storms back in the forecast, and then those rain chances through the end of the week. But it does look like the weekend. Let me just show you this. As we move ahead to Saturday into Sunday, it looks like those rain chances go up right now. We're seeing rain chances staying isolated here. Looks like through Thursday around 20-30%, but then by Friday and Saturday you can see rain chances go way up. So giving you that first alert. Also tomorrow morning, Megan earlier today was talking about some of that fog that was out there in places like Jasper early in the day. Could see some more of those issues. We'll have that out the door forecast and the full 10-day coming up. But as we continue to talk about the impacts left across Alabama from last week's storms, emergency leaders in northwest Alabama are crediting their community for staying safe from those recent tornadoes. People there continuing to clean up debris. Lauderdale County seeing a record-breaking 8 tornadoes in just 5 months. The EMA director says thankfully all of the tornadoes have been rated EF1 or lower, and no deaths have thankfully been reported.
I think that says a lot about our community. I think it's important for our community to have that trust in emergency management, and the statistics that show that we haven't had any fatalities or injuries, I think really is a direct reflection of the community buying in and the community understanding the importance of being safe.
The EMA director is now urging his community to stay vigilant when it comes to preparing for future storms. Matt?
All right, Wes, taking you across the country now to Tennessee, where cleanup is underway after Loudoun County was impacted by a tornado on Friday. Officials say at least 5 people were injured and several homes were destroyed. The National Weather Service says the tornado was rated an EF0. A tornado warning was not issued because the Weather Service of the storm just didn't have enough rotation for a tornado warning.
It wasn't a typical storm that you normally would say, oh yeah, there's some tight rotation. This is a huge supercell thunderstorm. This was nothing like that.
And a similar situation occurring in Washington County, Kentucky. Early reports indicating this was at least an EF2 tornado. After initial assessments, it caused 1 fatality and injured more than a dozen others. The storm's also destroying at least 2 homes and bringing damage to several other buildings. And after significant layoffs earlier this year, the National Weather Service is now able to hire at least 125 new meteorologists and specialists for offices around the country. The temporary lift of the federal hiring freeze comes as hurricane season has just begun, and the move would allow several weather forecast offices to not have to cut back on employee hours or overnight staffing during times of non-threatening weather. About half a dozen forecast centers are already in that situation right now.
Still ahead, we talk about those rain chances heading towards the middle of the week and take you to Mount Everest, where the journey begins to help preserve it. We'll see you after the break. And welcome back in. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. Currently 82 degrees. This kind of weather, heat level wise, you can't beat it for this time of the year. I was telling Matt just a few moments ago, I went back and checked. Last year, we reached 85 for a high on June 2nd. By the end of June, by the 25th, we reached a high of 101 degrees. So it can heat up in a hurry this time of the year. So enjoy these kind of temperatures while they last. You know that big time heat, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. Live look from Brookwood Baptist Medical Center. And this time of day, that haze we've been telling you about and all the wildfire smoke, you really notice it this time of day. You can see that glow there on the horizon. That's what's causing that. And that's going to stick around again during the day tomorrow. A lot of this is lofted, so it's not causing any major respiratory or air quality issues in the lowest levels. 82 degrees right now, live look from Gardenell, but you can see that's going to stick around, that the hazy conditions, but that's it. I mean, we're going to enjoy some more beautiful weather tomorrow. Dry conditions and temperatures during the day topping out in the 80s. So we'll be tracking those temperatures there, warming up into the mid to upper 80s. Some of the model data, and again, this is model guidance. So when you look at these temperatures here, they are showing the possibility of some upper 80s by Tuesday afternoon. We'll stay dry tomorrow. Out the door in the morning, there will be some 60s around, but notice how we stay dry. This model shows 90 at Tuscaloosa. Don't know if it will go quite that hot tomorrow, again, with just that the hazy conditions on top of a few clouds mixing in that easterly flow. Looks like we'll mostly see 80s out there, but still, it's going to feel warm, plenty warm later in the day. Wednesday, most of the day looks dry, but here comes the next chance for a few spotty showers moving in from the east direction. That tropical wave Matt was telling you about over the Atlantic, that's going to help to bring us a little bit of wet weather, it looks like, and a 20-30% chance for some showers Wednesday. And just be watching on the weather app late Wednesday afternoon for the possibility of some wet weather drifting in from the east direction. And we'll see a few more pop-ups as we go into Thursday, Friday, but especially this weekend. We got Alabaster City Fest coming up, so a big First Alert. Let's keep a close watch on those rain chances. Saturday, it looks like a good chance for some afternoon scattered storms. Same on Sunday, but hopefully we end up catching some decent breaks there. Every year, we always have that chance for some scattered storms, but it's always real hit or miss. So we'll be watching Saturday and Sunday. Next week, those rain chances carry over into the start of the week. Highs in the 80s, so we don't go completely dry in that long-range forecast. It does look like we'll have some afternoon storms coming back by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Of course, we'll be keeping a watch on what's happening in the tropics. At this point, if you have big plans, the big problems, if you do have a beach trip plan, is going to be from scattered storms, and there's going to be quite a few of those, it looks like, for the middle part of the week. So some afternoon storms if you are heading down to the coast, but make sure you have the First Alert weather app. And Matt, it looks like as we go beyond the 7-day forecast, at least temperatures are going to stay into the 80s.
Yeah, you know, looking at your 10-day there, Wes, to see 80s and not seeing much in the way of 90s for the first part of June, I'm fine with that. And on average, we'll typically see high temperatures in the mid 80s going into June 10th through the 15th, right around 87, becoming the upper 80s for average highs by the middle and end of the month. Overnight lows also trend a little bit warmer as well. Typically, we'll start out the month of June in the mid 60s, and by the end of the month, we average with low temperatures in the lower 70s. So get ready for that warmer air as we get towards summertime at the end of the month. Looking ahead beyond the 7-day from June 10th through June 16th, you can see most of the country probably experiencing temperatures slightly above average, but notice there's a 36% chance of temperatures remaining close to average. So that is definitely good news, at least for the northern portions of the state. Along the coast, though, chances of seeing above average temperatures a little bit higher. Once again, when we say above average, if your average is 87 degrees, above average could be like 88, 89, right? Doesn't mean it's going to be extremely hot. But look at rainfall chances from June 10th through June 16th. It looks like, believe it or not, perhaps a little bit wetter than average. They're looking at a 40% chance of above average chance to see some scattered showers and storms. Of course, as we go into the middle and end of June, we'll have to watch the Gulf and the tropics. You never know what could develop, and that could also encourage or increase our rain chances. But for now, nothing like that in the long term until we start gaining more confidence. And if we see anything, we'll let you know. Renowned for its sheer size and might, Mount Everest is its own force of nature. But right now, criticism is growing over unfavorable conditions climbers say puts themselves and the mountain at risk. Here's Fox's Chris DeMio.
Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world. But the future of this iconic landmark and the safety of future climbers are growing gloomy. This as hikers continue expressing frustration over dirty and crowded conditions.
It has become too commercialized.
Looking to make a difference, Nepal's government addressed those concerns this week at a special conference, citing their duty to protect the Himalayas from climate change and the impact of humans. Last year, government officials funded a team to remove 24,000 pounds of garbage from Everest. The Everest climbing season ends this month. This year, a little under 500 people from 57 countries were given permits to go. Each one costs $11,000 and is good for 90 days.
The feeling is that if there is money, then Everest can be climbed. But not all the people there are physically and emotionally ready to climb the peak. That is being disrespectful to Everest.
Critics say inexperienced people can put lives at risk and create traffic jams on the mountain.
It can be controlled, but what we need to do is make sure that those amount of people are all experienced in the mountaineering world.
Meanwhile, as collective minds explored possible solutions, celebrations Thursday honor the 72nd year since a hiker from New Zealand and his Sherpa became the first people to reach the summit of Everest back in 1953. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Tank. All right, still some dry weather in that forecast, Matt, through tonight and tomorrow, but watching Wednesday.
Yeah, there could be some spotty showers. Definitely if you want to knock out some yard work, want to do it early this week. Otherwise, you'll have to maybe dodge a shower or two later on. But it looks like most of these showers and storms is your typical summertime. It's usually in the afternoon and evening.
Right. We're going to be out at Alabaster City Fest Saturday, so I know watching those rain chances. It still looks scattered for this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get some dry weather.
Hey, we'll be watching it for you. Lots of updates tonight, first at 9.
Have a great Monday, everybody.